Joe Biden admitted to having cancer in July of 2022. Play the clip.
You had to put on your windshield wipers to get literally the oil slick off the window. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer. And why can't, for the longest time, Delaware had the highest cancer rate in the nation.
He literally just said it, that he has cancer. He didn't say this like in the sense that it's past tense. He said this in July of 2022. And remember that date as we really break all this tea down. Remember that date, okay? Because he got up there and he said that. They tried to cover it up, which I don't believe that for 1 second. So his official diagnosis, I have it pulled up here now, Gleason score of 9, grade group of 5 with metastasis to the bone, classified as stage 4. Okay. And again, if you don't know what bone metastasis is, and I'm probably going to be saying it wrong if I'm not already saying it wrong now, so don't even clock me, but it occurs when cancer cells from a primary tumor in another part of the body spread to the bones, meaning it is deeply rooted in his bones. Now, prostate cancer, because I'm just going to walk y'all through this because not everybody has the same level of understanding, but I want you to understand what's going on here. Prostate cancer is one of the most common cancers among men, with about 1 in 8 men diagnosed in their lifetime, primarily affecting those over the age of 50. Now, when it comes to aggressiveness, what that Gleason score means, if you have a score of 6 to 10, that measures the prostate cancer's aggressiveness, with higher scores being from 8 to 10. And that indicates that it's a faster growing cancer that may metastasize, as seen in these advanced cases like a stage 4, where it goes to your bones. Now, detection, early detection through PSA tests is very, very critical, which is why a lot of men go and they start getting their prostate exams. Usually, I believe it's over the age of 45 on a common basis, because you definitely want to catch that as quickly as you can, because more often than not, compared to other cancers, it is a cancer that tends to develop a little slower. So this is one that you definitely want to be preventative and very precautious of, and taking those actions in advance, being proactive about. And once you have it, you end up doing treatments like your typical cancer treatments, like you will try to get surgery, get radiation, chemotherapy, hormone therapy, all of these different things to try to make it manageable. Now, the reason that I really want to talk about the treatment part is because what does that do? A lot of people have probably heard of, if you haven't, it's called chemo brain. And what chemo brain is when you go through chemotherapy, you go through this intense radiation, it causes memory problems and it reduces your processing speed. What do we see when we listen to Joe Biden? Somebody who clearly has memory problems, somebody with reduced processing speed. And you guys have heard me say before, take a drink every time you hear an industry I've been in. I have worked in so many different industries, but I worked in like the nursing home world for a while. And we had what was called the East Wing, when you either had dementia or Alzheimer's, or a lot of times going through chemo and you get really bad chemo brain. A lot of the times they would send you over to the East Wing. I would watch, because I worked there all through high school and a little bit of college. So for years, I watched how the residents would go from one side to the other. And I watched that decline and that decay in their mind, like in their capacity to communicate, and just like their motions, and how they just start doing crazy things, like how Joe Biden would go and handshake air. That is something that I would say to the CNAs or to the RNs, hey, this guy over here probably has a couple months before he's on the East Wing. Okay, so I have seen these signs and symptoms before. Okay, Joe Biden has been declining in his cognitive abilities for quite some time, and it's been obvious to everybody. It's these neurotoxic effects that are likely contributing to this rapid decline that he has had. Now, in general, I asked ChatGPT because I wanted to confirm that, like, when I say that prostate cancer tends to be one that's a little slower, and I want to show you guys this breakdown. Do we have that? Yeah. If you see here, it does explain to you how prostate cancer tends to be a cancer that takes quite a bit more time. So based on Joe Biden's like aggressive prostate cancer, it is likely that with him already having a Gleason score of 9 and this bone metastasis, that it is estimated by any AI platform that's credible that you look at, it is estimated that he has likely had cancer for 3 to 4 years, possibly starting between 2020 and 2022. And in 2020, he wasn't sharp, but he wasn't a box of rocks by then. By 2022, he started really showing some signs. By 2023, I was horrified by the fact that this man was in office. And people made up every excuse in the book to try to explain why he was having this cognitive decline and trying to say it was Alzheimer's and all this different stuff and dementia, which I'm not ruling it out that it could be. And, you know, people try to say, well, oh, dementia could be any age. Well, the thing is with Alzheimer's and dementia, what a lot of people don't know, and this is just a quick tangent, is that tends to develop 20 years before you show symptoms. And it largely comes from your diet, but that's a conversation for another day. It is actually quite preventative more often than not. But Joe Biden, he seems like somebody that is much more out of it than just having dementia or Alzheimer's. So it makes sense when you look at the facts, when you look at, and again, I have it on the screen for you guys to be able to read it in full for yourself. When you look at the facts here, it is likely that he has had cancer for multiple years. It is extremely unlikely, not saying that it's impossible, but it's extremely unlikely that Joe Biden has developed cancer post-pregnant, or post, not funny. It is extremely unlikely that Joe Biden developed cancer post-presidency. Okay, if you look at how prostate cancer develops. So what I'm curious about now is when you talk about the medical care practices that typically are received by president, and let's not forget that he was VP for 8 years. So this man has been in the White House for 12 collective years, and you can't tell me that he hasn't had the most top of the line medical professionals around him all the time. And let's not forget the wank she's married to with her hideous gowns. She's a doctor too. And spending all this time around Dr. Fauci, he's a doctor too. So all these different people are around him. And then you think of the fact that, again, like you have the president and VP who get annual physicals at Walter Reed, including blood tests, heart checks, age-specific screenings like PSAs for men. You're telling me that this White House medical unit, which is 24/7 tailored care for the president, you're telling me that they didn't see the signs and the symptoms that he had cancer afoot? This man, you cannot convince me, didn't already have cancer. Okay. And when you have this, and you know, because there's a reason we have the 25th Amendment. There's a reason that we have it. So what these exams are to do is say, okay, this person is no longer fit to serve. And yet y'all played in our faces. You tried to make us feel like clowns, as if all the signs and the symptoms of his decline weren't there. You even had them hiring their political influencers, their political media personalities, like Harry Sisson, who was up there having the audacity to say this.
It's so crazy to me how everybody just ignores that Joe Biden had a neurological exam this year and they declared him fit to serve. This was done during President Biden's physical earlier this year, and it's public. Like, you can find it on the White House website.
Which
it
is
says
true.
an extremely detailed neurologic exam was, again, reassuring, and that there were no findings which would be consistent with any cerebellar or other central neurological disorders, such as stroke, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, or ascending lateral sclerosis, nor are there any signs of cervical myelopathy. No motor weakness was detected. He exhibits no tremor. He demonstrates excellent fine motor dexterity. So he had this exam and they declared him fit to serve. This was done by doctors and neurologists. So I don't know, when you have this extremely detailed report that's very public for everybody to read, and it's going down the list of how President Biden is perfectly fit to serve and that there's no concern about a neurological disorder, maybe we should listen to the doctors and not Republican pundits in the media.
No, listen to the Republican pundits, because clearly the doctors are out here lying in 4K, just like you, Harry. And I'll never slander Harry too much, because Harry is so funny to me. Get your bag, King. Y'all want to call me a grifter so bad. You will never get me to lie in 4K like this man does. But you know what, Harry? I know those bills are paid. The rent is due. And you make sure it is paid timely. Out here lying and pretending like you don't know that Joe Biden was not unfit to serve. And I see y'all clocking me in the live chat too. I did not mean to say that Joe Biden was pregnant. I definitely meant to say that it was post-pregnancy. Mr. Rodriguez has a note. She's an academic doctor, Xavier, not medical. Child, fair enough. Clock me, cousins. It is a safe space to. Wait, Angie, you didn't have to gag me like that. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. She's an academic doctor, but she's still educated enough to know the signs. She has been through enough schooling to know the signs of when somebody is losing their blood clot, boom clot mind. And Joe Biden has been losing his mind for years. And y'all tried to sit here and play like you didn't see it. Joe Biden, if you're an educational academic doctor, then you should be able to read the signs.